So I don't know if you all remember the initial Netflix business model, which was selling and renting DVDs. Now, fast forward to 2020, they have over 195 million subscribers worldwide. So they went from selling and renting DVDs to making some of the best movies in recent memory. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. I'm going to be sharing with you all my top 10 best original Netflix movies that came out in 2020. Let's get into this list. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with another top 10s list, and today's list is my top 10 best Netflix original movies that came out in 2020. Very excited to show you all what movies made that list, but before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which you can find all those links in the description below. If you are new to this channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing, and while you're at it, hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new videos. It would mean a lot to me if you all can like and share this video. It really helps out the channel, but I also appreciate all the support. And in the comments, let me know your top 10 Netflix movies that you saw this year that spoke to you, that resonated with you, and let's discuss those films in the comments below. So speaking of Netflix, if you all haven't already, go check out my top 10 best Netflix series. Had a fun time with that video, but we're not talking about series or TV shows today. We're talking about movies. And also, speaking of the movies that I'm going to be mentioning in this video, I've reviewed them all. So if you all want to get a better idea of my pros, my cons, my overall thoughts, I'm going to leave that playlist in the description below. So let's get into it. Before we get into my top 10, I do have some honorable mentions. Now, all these movies I really enjoyed. I had a good time with them. I recommend you all give it a watch, but they just weren't able to make the cut. And those movies are Extraction, Enola Holmes, Vampires vs. the Bronx, and Time to Hunt. Again, really good movies, but they just weren't able to make my list. So now let's get into that list, starting off with number 10. Now, this film, a lot of people didn't like. This film, people hated, apparently. And this is also going to be on a lot of people's probably top 10 worst movies of the year. To each his own, but for me, I'm going to die on the hill that I really enjoyed this film. And speaking of Hill, coming in at number 10 is Hillbilly Elegy, directed by Ron Howard. This film was really fantastic to me, guys. Now, this film spoke to me more so because I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. Now, we had a completely different relationship than the characters did in this film, but it was just seeing JD's character, how he was raised, and seeing where he ended up in the film, showing that it doesn't matter where you come from, you make your own path, right? And you can make your family proud of you. And I just really enjoyed his story. Amy Adams as the mom, seeing how she was raised. She really didn't have her mother, which was played by Glenn Close, and Glenn Close not really being there for Amy Adams. You see what that meant for her. You see her relationship with her father and how she turned out with alcohol and drugs, and just a great performance by Amy Adams. But then you see Meemaw being played by Glenn Close. She wasn't really there for Amy Adams, so she's now trying to become a mother to JD. And I really resonated with that story. It was emotional for me. I thought it was really well put together. I thought the performances were great, especially from Amy Adams and Glenn Close. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them got nominated for an Oscar. That was, to me, that's how well their performance were. But again, I know people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it, and that's why it's coming in at my number 10, Hillbilly Elegy. Moving on to my number 9 film. Now, this film came out earlier this year, and it still sticks with me today, and that is The Platform. Now, this is a social science fiction film, which is a subgenre of science fiction. Now, this doesn't really focus on technology or anything like that, but it focuses on society. And this film has a lot to say about the human nature, about survival, about putting others before yourself. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but the basic premise is you have this prison, you have prisoners in this prison, they have to get fed, and the people up top, they get fed pretty well because they get all the food. But as the timer goes away, the food goes down to each level, and as you would imagine, the food becomes less and less available. And as you can imagine, those cellmates are looking at their cellmate and saying, man, you're looking really tasty today. And you can imagine what kind of stuff goes on in this film. It's dark, it's bleak, it's a horror film in a way because there's some really violent stuff that goes down in this film, but it's also more of a psychological thriller about, again, the human nature. Really well put together Spanish film. It is incredible. It is great cinematography. Again, the different levels. It has a lot of levels to the movie as in regards to the themes, and it's just a film that really stuck to me, and that's why it came in at my number 9, The Platform. Switching gears to a film that, again, kind of like Hillbilly Elegy, I guess some people didn't really like the film. It just didn't really speak to them, and that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things, directed and written by Charlie Kaufman. I've seen a lot of Charlie Kaufman written films, but I haven't seen him direct the film. I was very impressed. I love the way he composes his shots, the way he kind of, you think he's going left, but he goes right. You think he's going up, he's going down. He's a really great director, in my opinion, but the script is so well put together. This is a really kind of heady film. It touches on subject matters like identity, morality, memory, being accepted by your family, and there's a lot of great dialogue in this film. The performances, Toni Collette, and our two main characters, Jesse Plemons and the incredible Jessie Buckley. I thought the performances were great. The conversations were great. There's not a lot of different sets that were on. It's really kind of limited to a handful of sets. There's a controversial ending. It's a lot to think about, and that's why I love films like this, and that's why it made my top 10. Coming in at number 8 as I'm thinking of ending things. Recommend you all give that a watch. It's not for everyone, but I enjoyed it. So switching gears a little bit, going to my number 7. Now, all those other films I just mentioned were kind of dark, kind of bleak, but this film is very lighthearted, and that is Over the Moon. It's an animated film that I absolutely love. Seeing our main character's journey, finding the moon goddess, and just the stuff that we get in this film. It's charming, it's funny, it's emotional. The animation is gorgeous. The voice acting is great. The songs in this film are incredible. It's a musical, but it doesn't like beat you over the head with these kind of unnecessary songs. The songs go within the script, and I think they're incredible songs. It's the journey, it's the story, it's the gorgeous nature of the animation. I love this film. I see it being nominated for Best Animated Film this year, up there with Wolfwalkers and Soul. I enjoy this film. I recommend you all give it a watch if you haven't already. And that is my number 7, Over the Moon. Switching gears back into the dark nature on my list here, and that is The Devil All the Time, directed by Antonio Campos. Now, this is my first time watching one of his films. I was very impressed. There's a lot of moving pieces in this movie, but he brings it all together in a really good way, in my opinion. But also, this film is really put together because of the cast. This cast is incredible, one of my favorite casts this year. But in regards to the cast, it's highlighted by some great performances by Eliza Scatton. We have Bill Skarsgård. We have Robert Pattinson, Illusions. I really enjoyed his performance in this film, but my boy Tom Holland was really fantastic. This is another dark film. It's very bleak. It's very emotional. It goes some places, I'll say that. I really enjoyed The Devil All the Time. It's not for everyone, I will admit, but I really enjoyed the story that we get within this film, and I recommend you all give it a watch. So that is my number 6. So before I get into my number 5, if you all haven't already, make sure to like and share this video. Also, leave your comments of your list in the comment section. Let's have a great discussion about it. And as always, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you all don't miss any of my new content. So now we have approached the top 5, and coming in at number 5, this man has been gone for 6 years. He's one of my favorite directors working in Hollywood, and that is the great David Fincher. And coming in number 5 is Mank. This film is oozing with Oscar nominations, and we'll get to that here in a bit. But the performances, again, Netflix this year was knocking out of the park with these casts, but it's the cast that comes together. They truly embody their characters. I'm thinking of Gary Oldman playing Mank. I loved his performance. Gary Oldman is one of the greatest actors of all time. He's really great in this film. I love his journey. Just the idea, I love behind the scenes, the making of things, seeing him come together, putting the pieces together to make one of the greatest films, or consider one of the greatest films of all time, as Citizen Kane. I loved his performance. I loved this supporting cast. The scene stealer to me was Amanda Streifer. She was great in this movie. She stole every scene to me. Again, everyone comes to bring their A game. David Fincher, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets nominated for Best Director. Again, other things that I could see this film getting nominated from is cinematography. I thought the score was fantastic by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. It really kind of transports you back to the 30s and 40s. So set production, cinematography, Best Director. Gary Oldman, get a nomination there. Who knows with Amanda Streifer? I would be very happy if she gets nominated. So this film has a lot going for it. There are some flaws. Again, you can watch my review for the film, but I really enjoyed it. It's not my top tier David Fincher, but it is a well put together film, and that's why it's coming in at number 5. Switching gears to my favorite horror movie of 2020, and that is His House, directed and written by Remy Weeks, and stars Wunmi Mushaku and Shape Dirisu. Now, this film was marketed as, a traditional kind of horror haunted house film, which at surface level, it has those moments. It doesn't rely on jump scares by any means, but when it gets to those scary haunted house moments, the ghost and the stuff behind the walls, it gets there. It's very tense filled, but it's more than that. It's more than just that surface level of just like a haunted house film. It's these characters and what they're running from. We have our two main characters being refugees from South Sudan, coming over to England. So you have the element of them, coming to this new land and what comes with that, being black and being refugees from South Sudan. So you have that, but then it's what are our characters? What are they running from? What's their past? What's their backstory? And that's when the film just kind of switched gears and you really get into the psyche of these characters. It's more of a psychological thriller horror, and it was fantastic. The performances were great. The direction, the writing, the depths and the layers of this story. Again, they're running from their past. They have past trauma, and you can't move forward if you don't address what happened in the past. And there's so much going on with our characters. It's scary, don't get me wrong, but it's just so much more than just your traditional horror film, and I really appreciate it. And that's why it's my favorite horror film this year, and that's why it's my number 4, His House, on my Netflix list here. So switching gears into my number 3, top 3 now, and number 3 is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Again, an incredible cast put together by a Netflix film, supporting members such as Michael Potts, Coleman Domingo, Glenn Thurman, and then you have these incredible world-class performance by Viola Davis, who plays Ma, who truly embodies the character. She became the mother of blues. She's a diva in this movie, but you know why she's acting the way she is. She was just incredible in this movie. Don't be surprised if she gets nominated and also wins an award. But then the late, great Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Man, he was so great in this movie. This may be his best performance of his career. He left us with a gem with this performance. His character made me laugh, made me cry, just on so many levels made me cry because, again, him passing away so suddenly, but then just the character itself, the monologues, the scenes that he was in. Speaking of monologues, this film is based on a play, and I said it in my review, when it comes to movies that are based on plays, they don't always work to me because it doesn't have that magic. It just doesn't resonate. It doesn't translate well for me. But this film, I didn't feel like I was watching a play. I feel like I was watching a movie with some great characters. I was truly engaged. The conversations amongst the band, especially during the time period this takes place in, being African American and having things taken away from them, having to fight and claw their way to get where they are in the films. It's an incredible movie. Chadwick Boseman, Viola Davis, great direction, great movie. Highly recommend you all check it out if you haven't already. And that's my number 3, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Switching over to my top 2, coming in number 2, one of my favorite directors of all time. He's back. I'm talking about Spike Lee's The Five Bloods, another great cast put together for a Netflix film. This is vintage Spike Lee because, don't get me wrong, I love Spike Lee. The last decade or so, a lot of the movies for me just haven't worked for me, but this, to me, The Five Bloods is top tier. This is up there with Malcolm X. Not quite, that's my favorite Malcolm X. Malcolm X is my favorite Spike Lee film, but it's up there. This film is really highly up there for me. It's this cast that comes together that puts it all in the pieces together. You have Isaiah Whitlock Jr., Norm Lewis, Clark Peters, Jonathan Majors, the great Chadwick Boseman, and his scenes that he shared with Delroy Lindo, who will be winning an Oscar as well. Oh my goodness, the conversations, we're coming off of Vietnam. We have them coming back to get the bones of their lost, fallen brother. And in the same time, we got some gold in the mix. We have a lot of stuff going on with this father and son dynamic. Again, Roy Lindo gives some incredible monologues, some credible scenes. When they come together, you see the brothership. I love that they didn't de-age them. I just love all the stuff that Spike Lee did in this film. This is vintage Spike Lee, from the edits, the cuts, the way he puts his shots together. The cinematography was great. The score was fantastic. This is Spike Lee. This is what makes him such a great director, one of the greatest of all time in my opinion. And The Five Bloods is an incredible movie through and through. Again, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Again, I'm seeing some nominations for this movie as far as Best Picture, maybe Best Director, but definitely give some love to the performances by Delroy Lindo and maybe even Chadwick. But this is an incredible film, and that's why it's my number 2, The Five Bloods. So now that leaves us with one movie, a great movie. I think this is the front runner for Best Picture, in my personal opinion. And that film was written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. I'm talking about The Trial of Chicago 7. This movie was incredible. This came out very similar to The Five Bloods, came out at a perfect time because of the subject matter. Again, another film about the Vietnam War, protesting, which obviously when the time this film came out, there was a lot of protesting going on, the BLM movement, and this film having protesting and the performances. Again, Aaron Sorkin, he's growing as a director. He's a better writer than he is a director, but he's getting there. But going back to his writing, this is an incredible script, and he gave some great lines to some incredible actors. I'm talking about Sacha Baron Cohen. He was incredible. I'm talking Eddie Redmayne, Jeremy Strong, and then a character and an actor who is just becoming so great and just is becoming a megastar. I'm talking about Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Bobby Seale. He stole the movie from me. It was so many emotional moments with that character. Just a great movie. movie through and through. Again, we talked about Oscars. I think this is the lock for Best Picture. I think this is going to win Best Original Screenplay. And again, I think that this film is just going to be the movie, the best picture of the year, and that's why it's coming in at number 1, The Trial of Chicago 7. So it's just all comes full circle. As I talked about at the beginning of this video, from selling and renting DVDs to possibly having a movie that wins Best Picture. What a journey by Netflix. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my top 10 best Netflix movies that came out in 2020. That's my list, but I want to know your list. Let me know what movies made your list. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion about it, and let's have a good time talking about those films. So as always, make sure to like this video, share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you all don't miss any of my other videos. Like I said, I have my top 10 Netflix series on the channel. I'm going to have a lot more top 10 videos coming pretty soon. My top 10 movies of 2020, my top 10 shows, and my most anticipated movies of 2021. So keep an eye out for those videos. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you in the next video.